The third video prizes diversity. All schools need to embrace different races, religions, nationalities, genders, customs, cultures, as well as the unique and different learning styles of each child, and the different students' abilities, talents, and also responses to different teaching methods. The child with learning disabilities and ADHD must receive as much individualized instruction as possible in that classroom environment, using diverse teaching methods to tailor instructions to meet the child's specific needs. If there's one message that I would give to parents and teachers, it's to find one passionate interest or talent in the child and foster it in every possible way. It helps when they are recognized as the family's best in a certain area, such as playing chess, using a computer, taking photographs, dancing, cooking, whatever. Everyone can be the best at something, such as the best finder of objects, the best person with plants, the best fixer. We need to produce more bests. You wouldn't have to use concrete objects to teach abstract ideas to the children. For example, when we're studying ancient Egypt, the concept of mummification doesn't make much sense to me. And particularly if I keep talking about it, I'm talking really to myself. What these children need is an object that gets it across. So for example, we take an apple. All right, let's cut the apple in half. And on one half we leave it alone. And the other half we put saran wrap on. The next day they come back and what do? They see that this one is kind of rotten. And this one is preserved. And from the word preserved, we can go on and discuss mummification. Now we're going to give out some apples to all the tables, and we're going to give you some knives. We're giving you some teaching assignments. Your group, please use the apple to teach about science. And your group, please use it to teach about the Civil War. Your group has geography. Maybe that's a little too easy. And your group has language arts. Okay? Be prepared to report back. You could actually use the pen and draw the sizes of circles. That's what we want to do. We want to go from concrete circles to the circle. Okay. And we're going teaching from circle to
we cut it in half, it has the core, the core of the earth. I think what's the core of the earth called? The center?
In class, you take an apple, the roundest apple, you can the earth is not really totally round. So they're good models. You're talking about it with elementary level, you just keep it very basic, hard to make, like you teach music, you don't look at all the details. And the element that you need to know. So the skin would be what?
It's called the cross.
Okay. Skin would be the best.
And that's just in there on the earth anyway. So
Oh, that's great. That's super.
The nice thing about it is that we do call it the core of the earth, and this is the core. So that we remember that one vocabulary word.
Using an apple, what we want to do is teach kids about the Civil War, and we have this apple to illustrate it. We got to thinking, if this apple represented the United States as they existed in 1860, this is the whole country. Well, part of this apple decides it doesn't want to be an apple anymore, and needs to, we got upset with other parts of the apple. And we wanted to show kids how that could happen within the apple. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to cut it from north and south. We could also, if you look on the map, you notice everything up on the map is north and everything down is south, which is arbitrary, but it's the way it works. So what we want to do is we want to divide the south from the north, but yet it didn't all happen at once. Every state in the south didn't all lead at the same time. They started to try and decide for their own independence and to leave the United States. So each one of these slices would represent the states that are beginning to leave the confederation of all the states. So as they leave, they get exposed to the air. They think they're in good shape, but if this stays out here for a long time, pretty soon it's going to start to wither. And we want to explain that that was the big part of the argument that the North was having with the South, is that you need to stay with us, because with us you're real strong. But given the differences, they gradually started to leave and become...
Basically, we're talking for give them some sense of being part of a whole, a core goal issue, and so that would.
We're not teaching them everything about the Civil War all at once. We're taking one idea at a time and explaining it, and then moving on from that.
Well, earlier we were discussing about memory, and we have a number of children who really can't remember exactly what you said to them, and they can't give it back to you. We have a few that do remember everything, but most of our students have rote memory problems. And so they have to reconstruct the information. They have to have associations with it. And it really has to interact with their prior knowledge, which is why there was a man named Bartlett who said, we reconstruct meaning in relation to schemas. In other words, in relation to pictures in the mind. And that's why it's called schema theory. It's giving experiences and concrete pictures in the mind to help children remember information, to help them organize it, and reorganize the information that they have to put into language. And that's why, when we're teaching about the Industrial Revolution, we're not going to go into a long discourse on the change from the agrarian economy to life in the cities and the need for machines and so on. What we're going to do is talk about farms and people moving to the city and starting with something called factories. And they started working on doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it was a machine age, and that's why it was called Industrial Revolution. And it's like a hook on which they can put other information that comes to them. And you can go into more lecturing after they have that picture in the mind. So to help them get to that picture in the mind, I'm going to ask you to take a basket full of materials and figure out an invention that you can make as a team that will repeat some action 4 or 5 times. It's like a hook that will hold a big picture in the mind. And our kids need those hooks. And we can hold their attention. We can use their good intelligence and their imagination when we've got that hook. But just talking about it doesn't work. So look at the materials you have. You all have very simple materials. Well, any machine is...
Okay, there's something out here. All right, and have it
Yeah.
This kind of like this?
Right, but you know what, it needs some weight.
The lighter one.
What if you cut off?
Right.
You're not really getting four competitive.
Is each group ready to report now? Pay attention to this group over here. This is our invention, it's called Launching Food Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it's an egg laying machine. So what happens is the chicken lays the egg, and the egg goes through the tube, and then it falls into a particular part. So if you drop it, poof, it falls. It falls again. Falls again. And what you can do with this is you can have the students make predictions about where it can actually fall based on the height of the base. You can raise it, you can lower it depending on, you know, what the predictions are, and it falls into different places. Or it doesn't fall at all.